In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
I'm muted, no sound. Shall I do that whole intro again? Let me just see if in the comments you've been saying, Carl, you've been muted all this time. Let's have a look. Let's see if I have been muted all this time. No sound. So, do you know what? Speak with your outer voice. You guys are so funny, aren't you? Carl, speak with your outer voice. I did get a little prompt, not the inner voice. Oh, I thought I was making a special experiment this morning in intuitive communication and psychic communication. How many of you were getting that, actually? And I have been building a special machine to enable me to do this at the bottom of my garden. Well, that hasn't worked very well this morning. I'm going to start the show again, not the whole theme tune, but let me just show you what I've been building at the bottom of the garden as my psychic generator to do the show without a microphone, save a lot of money on technology. So this is the thing I've been building at the bottom of the garden. You speak into the little bit at the bottom there, and it just broadcasts it psychically around the world. Pretty good, but it doesn't look like it's working very well. So back to the drawing board for me this morning. So let's do that again, shall we? Hola, bon dia, Gria Munson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Tudo bem? Como estás? That's the bit I can remember so far. What was I talking about? I was giving you the rundown for the week. Yes, very kind, James. Thank you. Yay, you're back. Carl, you say the most profound things when muted. I really, really do. You've no idea, Stephen, how profound it was this morning. I was saying tomorrow we talked to Ali Sheldrake, the writer from the Algarve, who's with us tomorrow, along with, of course, resident in the first Wednesday of the month spot of Ask Anything About Portugal. Michael Heron will be here tomorrow, fingers crossed. And then on Thursday, Wiley's back talking about real estate, buying a home here in Portugal generally, but her specialist area. And I think it's good that real estate agents have an area, like a geographical area of expertise. And hers is Cascais, Estoril, that part of Portugal. And then on Friday, Jenny B with a Feel Good Friday. Whoa. Oh, Michael Newsom's here as well. Good morning to you, Michael. How are you? Great picture. Bon dia. We're here scouting, excited to be able to comment live, as some others are as well. Some people are delighted to be here, Jean included. And we've got a picture of your dinner, Jean, as well. Always delighted to receive pictures of people's food. But the question that goes with the picture of the food from Jean this morning, and I think it's a jambalaya, isn't it? Which another reason to be sharing it so that I can just say jambalaya. Give you the backstory on this, but this is what Jean's cooking for Portuguese hosts. What would you cook? Given the chance, I mean, it's going to be a battle, let's face it. First of all, your Portuguese hosts and friends are going to want to take you out and buy you lunch or cook you dinner. And it's going to be your turn, but not straight away. Then when comes your turn, when you finally get the opportunity, when their hospitality has relaxed a little and you get your chance to shine, what do you cook for your Portuguese hosts and friends? And it's a jambalaya there from Jim. We'll go more, as I say, into the backstory of that in a little while. But what would you cook? Given the chance to show off your skills as a dab hand in the kitchen and around the dining table, what would you cook from your country of origin, possibly? Or would you dare try a Portuguese favorite to delight your Portuguese friends, hosts, and a new Portuguese family here? Let me know what you would like to cook for them. So, oh yeah, I know what I was saying. I was talking about Amit before I realized I had no sound. And that's the Thursday night webinar. Thursday night webinar is Chat with the Expat, which kind of rhymes, doesn't it? But we recognize that on a Thursday evening, a lot of people like to come along to the webinar, regardless of the subject matter. it's a social, and especially so on the first Thursday of every month, where we've had our Ask Our Expats team there, and you can quiz them about life in Portugal based on their personal experience of being here in their respective parts of Portugal, and their life experience going through suffering the slings and arrows and the highs and the lows of Portuguese life, mainly highs, otherwise they probably wouldn't be there, would they? We don't want a load of moaning minis there for an hour and a half as people share their experiences. So looking forward to that on Thursday, where Amit is our special guest. You might know him as Zoom. But Amit will be joining us currently set up in Estoril, but that may not be the final dwelling place of Amit. And forgive me, I'm going to have to say Mrs. Amit. It's a habit I don't like. We all know why we do it, don't we? But Amit will be here as our VIP on Thursday to talk about the adventure of coming from the United States through to Portugal and setting up a life here, and you'll be able to talk to him about that. So looking forward to that on Thursday. So how you doing? Let me know. How's it going? Whichever part of Portugal you're in, let us know which part of Portugal you're in. If you're scouting, as Michael is at the moment, let us know how it's going, if you will. And thank you, everybody, for being a producer this morning and telling me there was no sound earlier on. Let's go to T-Duck first of all then. We tried to do our radio show last night. We're still struggling to find the right platform that offers sound quality and the chance for me to be here in the Silver Coast, on the Silver Coast, and for T-Duck to be in Lisbon. Didn't work out last night, but we still had a good time listening to a few tunes and a bit of a catch-up. Bom dia, alegria, Gumpers, he says. Mais belo dia para explorar este país maravilhoso. So another wonderful day, beautiful day to be visiting this marvelous country there. And Portuguese proverbs, they continue from the T-Duck. O que os olhos não veem, o coração não sente. What the eyes don't see, the heart doesn't feel. Controversial one, that, isn't it? I would have that as the other way round. That we have an incredible sixth sense as human beings. Whether we use it or not is another matter. But I think we can see so much more, as it were, in a metaphorical way, with our faculties other than the physical senses. But there you go. Who am I to argue with Portuguese proverbs? Não há regra sem excepção. There is no rule without exception. Yes, and I think that's a definite comment about Portuguese life, bureaucracy, and administration, is it not? De noite todos os gatos são pardos. Now, when I saw this earlier on, I read this as all at night, all cats are gay. Now, I wouldn't know. I don't know a lot about cats, and I suspect that isn't true. It is, in fact, at night, all cats are grey. Okay, so at night, unless you may have made the same misreading as me. All night, at night, not all night. Well, yeah, and all night. At night, all cats are grey. Funny old saying that, but it's true, isn't it? Back to the senses again. Hola, bon dia, Gumpers. It just goes to show again, doesn't it, how unreliable in many ways our senses are. They look grey, don't they? They look grey at night, but we know from our own experience that our cat is ginger or tortoiseshell or whatever, and is just appearing grey with a limited sensory information that we have available to us. Baldilocks. Hola, bon dia, Gumpers. Morning to you, Baldilocks. How you doing, mate? And Owen's Food Alchemy. Again, I want to misread that as Academy because it could be either. He is an academic of food. We know this, and it's an hola, bon dia from Owen. And I have been asked, I don't know how you're going to feel about this, Owen, but I have been asked to send you this. Thinking about you, says Suze, as she was grabbing a Kentucky in Denmark. Now, this is so random, isn't it? Here we are on a niche program about moving to and enjoying life in Portugal. One of us is making their way from Finland and has stopped off in Denmark to enjoy a bit of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Can you make an exception on this occasion for this weary traveller, Owen, who is enjoying 2 crispy strips, 2 hot wings, one original recipe? What about the others then? What does that mean? Menu includes 1 side and 1 drink. Sounds so appetizing, doesn't it? You get a side and a drink with that. Nothing about delicious or fizzy or refreshing, just sides and drinks. 69 krona, is that? I think that's in Denmark anyway. So there you go. Every day is a chicken day. Denmark. Thank you, Suze, for that. Where are you now? I think Owen would rather have the jambalaya that we'll come back to in a little while. So yes, but it's still begging and prompting the question, what would you cook for your new Portuguese friends and hosts? Do let me know. Kate's also here. Bom dia, agria, amigos. Bon dia, Carl and amigos. I'm rushing a bit this morning. I'm going to slow things down with a wonderful I mean, talking of random, right? I've got a wonderful video. It's like not fan mail, but a fan video for you, James, this morning. Your thoughts from the Redwoods were greatly enjoyed yesterday, and we heard the full saying, didn't we, about dance like no one's watching, love like you'll never get hurt. And I'm misquoting Mr. Perky, Senor Perky already, aren't I? Here, dance like nobody's watching. And what is it? Live like it's heaven on earth was the bit that never. I mean, that's the most important bit, really, isn't it? And that gets accepted and forgotten when people try and remember that quote. So thank you for sharing that with us yesterday. But here he is, a man who has assumed the identity of a rare. I was going to try and think of the technical term for a slug. I can't remember what that is. It's not a mollusk, is it? Because it's lacking the mollusky bit. But I do have some fan mail for you, a fan video for you, James. Somebody who's taken the identity of a rare slug or a very particular kind of slug in a particular part of America. You've had a video sent in for you, and it's very relaxing. That's why I mention it, because we're all going to do the zen of snail observation in just a moment. Okay, the reports of talking of quotes here and Mr. Perky, let's go to Mark Twain now. The reports of my death are greatly exaggerated, attributed to Mark Twain, but probably not, says the Prof. Midlife Crisis World Tour this morning. How you doing, Prof? We've missed you. Maybe Twain just wasn't that funny. Oh, he wasn't he? Bon dia, fruit pickers and pig ticklers. Oh, I've never been called that. How does everyone feel about this morning about being called a pig tickler? I'm okay with that, actually. Not that I've ever actually done it. Top of the morning, Kate, from T-Duck to you, St. Catherine. Rebel Mama in as well. A bon terça, gente. Yeah, terça-feira today, of course. How is your week going so far? It's only Tuesday. It feels later in the week to me than that. Hold on a minute. Let's do this. Let's set this up correctly, shall we? Now that we've got sound again, which is always a good thing on a radio show, isn't it? Let's do it. Okay, thank you, Prof. You're back. Yesterday in Portuguese history. 1945, the dateline. Portugal announces 3 days of official mourning due to the death of Adolf Hitler. What? Along with Ireland and Spain, Portugal offers its condolences to Germany. That's interesting. That's something you probably thought you'd never hear, given how we've seen history ever since. Look at that. Yesterday in Portuguese history, 1945, Portugal announces 3 days of official mourning due to the death of Adolf Hitler. Along with Ireland and Spain, Portugal offers its condolences to Germany. Interesting, isn't it? Thank you for that, Prof. And Bon dia Gumpers from the aforementioned James. Lovely picture. Have you actually got that mascot suit at home? And do you go down to Ericeira Market in that occasionally? Pictures, please. Feliz terça todos from James. And yes, video to come for you. Fan video for you, James. Somebody's captured a video especially for you, knowing you in their mind as the banana slug. Hola, bon dia, alegria a todos. De Amsterdam, nublado. Cloudy Amsterdam then this morning. Matty, come on, man. Where are you? How's that Tesla doing? Is it repaired yet? The Dimitri Martin quote of the day from Banana Slug this morning is, Dimitri Martin is prolific, isn't he? I want to make indifferent graffiti. Toy Story 2 was okay. I like Cheryl as a friend, but I'm not sure about taking things further. This is a bridge. That guy's right. Yes, indifferent graffiti. Excellent. And a little bit more Portuguese history for you now. Today in Portuguese history, 2007, Madeleine McCann, a British child, disappears on the evening from her holiday apartment at a resort in Praia da Luz. Of course, yes, 15 years ago. I think that was actually in Portugal at the time when that terrible thing happened, that it still remains an awful mystery. So that's today in Portuguese history as well. 2007, Madeleine McCann disappearance. Whoa. Solo Life Portugal. Pete is in. Interestingly, Maddie is an anagram for I'm dead. My goodness. It so is. Coincidence, says Pete. Yikes. Bon dia, Carl. E a todos. I still have a trigger finger, but I'm wearing a finger splint and doing exercises, and it has improved. Typing is still difficult. So I wasn't quite with you yesterday, Moaz. Trigger finger mean as in your fingers bent into the trigger position, is it? Or is it triggering away like that? This sort of thing. But you've got a splint on there to try and sort things out with that. Well, I hope you're not in too much discomfort, Moaz. Been good to have you here. Today in Portuguese History 2, 1911, Guarda Nacional Republicana, GNR, was formed under the First Republic. Members of the GNR are military staff, subject to military law and organisation, unlike the PSP. If you've ever wondered, so thank you for that, Prof. That's really helpful, isn't it? In case you've noticed that I think there are 3 types of police officer here, aren't there? There's a kind of traffic transit cop. There's the PSP. That are probably most like the police from the United States or United Kingdom, for those of you from those countries. And then the GNR, the guardians of the Republic. That's what struck me, that they are the guardians of the Republic, of course, and they are somewhat military in their appearance, sometimes even sporting spurs, It must have been cavalry at some time in their history. A little bit inconvenient driving one of those nice green and silver cars with spurs on as well, I would have thought. Gets caught on the car mats. Well, not that I've ever done that, but I imagine it does. But imagine you have to release and remove your spurs when driving a police car. But not that I'm ever going to get to find out. But no, I suspect. Wouldn't that be a weird thing if one day I am driving a police car wearing spurs and think to myself, I remember that time when I said I'd never be driving a police car with spurs on. Anyway, Marty is here as well. Boa noite, Gumpers. It's a night time in Alaska. How's it gone for you, Marty? How was your recent trip? I don't think we've had a debrief, have we? I hope you have a fine day in sunny Portugal. Thanks, Marty. And bon dia, Carl and Gumpers. Another celebration in our house. 34 years together. Oh, congratulations, parabéns to you. Married on the 3rd of May. So wedding anniversary today. That's fantastic. 34 years. It's mine tomorrow, actually, Deagle. Thanks for the reminder. 3rd of May, 1988. I pretty much remember what I was doing around that time. 3rd of May, 2022. Of course, 34 years later. We always celebrate today as without your first date, as though it were our first date. How lovely. What are you doing then today? I've got to read Pete's comments, haven't I? Let me just read this one quickly. Okay, what's this? Being a member of the GNR, you must have an appreciation for classic cars, as I often find that driving here is like an experiential classic car museum. Oh, I see. As in when you're doing roadside stops and so on. Yeah, the GNR must have developed quite an encyclopedic awareness of the various cars that are still on the road here in Portugal. I really enjoy that, Pete, actually. I see cars that I drove as a teenager. Bon dia Alegria on a beautiful morning. Baddy, thank you very much for the video that you sent in James's honor. We'll play that in just a moment. Oh, yeah, at 9 o'clock, Michael will be joining us from Serenity. They've got a new product. And the lawyer in Lisbon. It's a legal half hour. If you've got any questions about the law here in Portugal, ask away from 9:30. With Daniel Reis will be joining us from Reis and Pellicano. So it is, Consumer Tuesday and the Health and Law Q&A today. We're just easing into the show this morning after a shaky start and a relaxing video to come. Bon dia to you, Moaz from James. Happy to see you, sending health and healing vibes your way. So part 2 of Deagle's message. We would never have gotten engaged, married, had children, now grandchildren. I love being in love. Oh, that's so nice, Deagle. So I'm not sure how those two go together. We always celebrate today as without your first date. Oh yeah, without the first date, we'd have never gotten engaged, married, had children. Yeah, exactly. It started with a kiss. And now look, did you read my comments about your trigger finger yesterday? Well, Matty's got some help for you and your trigger finger, Moaz. What have you been up to get trigger finger? You don't have to answer that. Good morning, everyone. So busy working. I try to join when I can. Well, you're always welcome when you do, Gemini. How are you doing? And Deagle, congratulations on your anniversary and new role as grandparents. Second grandchild, actually, Baddy. 2 grandchildren now. Lovely Rosie has joined us in this bonkers world of ours just recently, in the last few days, actually, last weekend. Congratulations, Deagle. How do you commemorate your first date? Borrow a Ford Cortina off somebody, maybe, and go off for a little drive, if you know what I mean. You don't need to do that. You got your own house now, of course. Speak up. Carl is sounding great this morning, and I love it. Look, the GNR pick this morning. from Midlife Crisis World Tour. Is that from the GNR calendar 2022, by any chance? Oh, good. I thought it was my computer. That's kept everyone on their toes this morning, hasn't it? Thank you very much. Reinsert your dongle, Carl. That seemed to do the trick, didn't it? How long will this go on? Well, not the whole 90 minutes. And I think top comment this morning, Carl, speak with your outer voice, not the inner. Goes to Matty. Very, very good. And put 50p in the meter. Stick in a skudosh. Very good, everybody. It's actually better sometimes, isn't it, with no sound? Because such mirth and merriment precipitates onto the screen here, as you can see here. Is there a medication you can get for talking to yourself? I'll ask Michael from Serenity at 9 o'clock this morning. Okay, sound back. Yeah, sound now. Thanks, Trevor and Shannon. Good morning to you both. Oh, brilliant. And what's this? Hola, bon dia. Oh, Fighters of the Year, Central Line's reworking of the standard Nature Boy, right? Some of you may know the Nat King Cole version of that. Quite a few people, I think, have had a go at Nature Boy, George Benson included. But we're looking at the Central Line version today, a jazz funk, Brit funk outfit, jazz funk. What a band. What a tune. Thank you very much. Oh, dear. He talking to himself. Jim White, bon dia todos from Jim and Mandy in Porto. How you guys doing? Are you going to stay there for good? And quesadillas is going to be the food that will be cooked by Charles. Morning, Charles. Charles Montague for the Portuguese hosts. Let's give you the backstory now then. Let's resolve that, shall we? Here is a jambalaya, and I'll tell you why. The message from Jean yesterday. No sound on show. Always check what you're reading. Yes, I should do that. And almond and salted caramel tart. Also, that's just come in. I've got to be careful. Sue's apparently is in Germany, west of Hamburg. So you're going to have a hamburger, having had a KFC yesterday. And maybe Owen will cook you something nice and healthy and nutritious when you arrive here. We will have a gathering and do that. I think either the next one or the one after, we're talking. Our people are talking to each other. My people, Owen's people, and the amazing Austin brothers, about a get-together. We'll do a live show from a barbecue site in Portugal. Let's do it, shall we? Let's do that. Now, Jean, where are you? Okay, my Portuguese friends have treated me to several meals since I arrived on Friday morning. My turn, as you can see here on the screen. Since Bruno mentioned wanting to see Louisiana and New Orleans, if he ever tours the US, I'm making them jambalaya. There you go, Portuguese style, shrimp whole with head on. Yes, that's the way to do it, isn't it? Get some of that flavor from all those shrimp guts and brains and things. Not knocking it. I would do exactly the same. Have not seen any jalapeno or cayenne peppers in my supermercado explorations, so there is a whole bottle of peri-peri in it. Yes! Not as dramatic as it sounds, as there is over a gallon of the jambalaya there. Wow. So I think you've also had to get to grips with the domestic situation there. Not easy to cook something special on new equipment. So well done with that, Gene. While we're here and talking about food, managed to find some honey yesterday. Tornado honey, folks. I'm in San Martino de Porto, of course. Beautiful day here today. Lovely out with the dogs this morning. It's going to be a beautiful day on the Silver Coast, I would say, will be my guest. And here is some eucalyptus. 1 kilo of eucalyptus honey made by, look, you can see here, when you buy a honey in Portugal, and I bought this at my Cafe de Serra, the Mountain Cafe, one of my local cafes. Got a honey here from Produtor Carlos Manuel da Silva Henriques and his Mel de Encosta de Tornada, 10 euros for a great big kilo jar of honey. Delighted to find that here in San Martino de Porto yesterday. I think it's quite good with allergies, isn't it? When you're, well, not quite good with allergies. That sounds like a serving suggestion. It's good if you have allergies to take on board the local honey. That can really help. Big fan of local honey, big fan of bees, and big fan of local beekeepers. Always good, I think, to put money in their pockets. So there, the money, the 10 euros for a kilo going to Carlos there, my namesake bee producer, honey producer and beekeeper there in Tornado. Always love to find that. And they do a good powder forma in the Cafe de Serra as well. And they've got one of those machines that chops it up for you, so you don't have all that faff as well. So really nice to be in there yesterday. And this was Saturday morning when I took the dogs out. Did a lovely big walk, found a new lane that takes me to Grallia Beach, to the coast. And on the way back, a massive glass from Cafe de Serra of Sumo laranja natural, freshly squeezed orange juice, and I put a cheeky little pastel de nata along with that. What a fantastic breakfast. Breakfast of Portuguese champions, that is. So I hope that, let us know how that goes down. I hope it goes down well, Gene. The jambalaya. It's quesadilla. What am I talking about? Quesadillas for Charles, switching from Portuguese to Spanish there. And anyone else? What would you cook for your? I'm not going to read that one, Pete. What would you cook for your Portuguese hosts and friends when it's your turn to cook? Okay, I'm going to play that video now. As we come up to 9 o'clock, Michael will be with us soon. This is for you, James, sent in by Baddy. Isn't this thoughtful? Just breathe out, everybody. Find yourself a comfortable position and take this in. The Portuguese countryside by the coast, and this was spotted by Baddy, who said, "Thought of James when I saw this," and here it is for all of us now to take in and relax with the sounds of the Portuguese countryside, very close to the coast. How utterly restful is that, looking at a snail on a plant on the Silver Coast in Portugal? Thank you for that. I feel so much better for seeing that. And never in my wildest dreams did I think we would be looking at a snail together on a plant on the Silver Coast. But for that's how we roll here on the Good Morning Portugal show, podcast and live stream. Baddy saw that snail just sitting there doing its own thing. It was probably doing a full-on workout. If you could get down to the level of a snail, it was probably doing something really vigorous in snail world. But to us, it just looks very relaxing there. Lamb stew, from snails on bushes and plants to lamb stew, homemade, wheaten bread to go with that. Would be afraid to try a Portuguese dinner for Portuguese residents. So there you go. We have quesadillas, we have jambalaya, and we have lamb stew. Would be the offerings so far from Deagle and from Charles and from Jean so far this morning. We'll come back to that because now we need to go to Lisbon to talk to our good mate Michael Averbukh. Serenity. Good morning to you, Michael. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
Good, nice and relaxed, because I think you joined us and you must have thought to yourself, what's going on here? Are these people really looking at a video of a snail?
Yeah, I didn't understand what was it. That's okay. I missed the introduction.
We were having a little moment together here. You could hear the bird song of the Silver Coast, and it was great to see you. Actually, you came to our last but one meetup to San Martino de Porto. Of course, it was great to see you, and you were with Rita as well, right?
Sorry,
Rita joined us as well.
No, that was Sophia.
Sophia, I do beg your pardon. Sophia, forgive me if you're watching this. Sophia, it was so lovely to hang out with you and Michael. And what did you make of San Martino de Porto, Michael?
Well, a very nice place. Actually, it was my first time there. I did my bad asking where the coast was.
It's just there, just around the corner.
No, but it's a very, very nice place. Actually, I will come again.
Good.
You have a meetup tomorrow, no?
Every Wednesday, and since the weather has improved and it's got a little bit more reliable, we're at Cafe Palmeira, which has a lovely sun deck and a lovely view of the sea and a little bit of greenery between yourselves and the sea when you have a nice bit of lunch there at Cafe Palmeira with a wonderful host and an own cafe owner who is Nelson. And when I think of his name, I'm always reminded that there's supposed to be only one word in Portuguese that ends with N, which is Nelson, isn't it? But from the medical world, I've heard a challenge to that, which is abdomen as well, ending in N.
Yeah.
But it's a real exception to have a Portuguese word ending in N, apparently. But there you go. Enough Portuguese language trivia. We talked to you this morning, as we do on the first Tuesday of every month, to get a bit of an update from what's going on in the medical world and how people can interface with it here in Portugal with the wonderful medical concierge service that is Serenity. You've got a new service, haven't you, that you're telling everybody about this morning?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity, first of all. We've been kind of dealing with the expat world with a special emphasis to the expat world in Portugal for the past 7-8 months already. And we normally want to listen to our clients and want to understand what else do they need.
Yeah.
And two major things came up. First, well, this is not big news, but it's worth reminding some people. The thing with this primary care medicine and primary physicians in the public sector, everybody is complaining. Everybody, many are complaining for the fact that I don't want to generalize, but unfortunately, it's a general issue. Many are speaking of their experience with the registry with the National Healthcare System or the SNS, and then even if they get registered, you have a problem with having your own family practitioner near the place you live. Many times people are sent to a different centro de saúde, and much more often they're said, well, actually, we can't assign you to a specific physician. There's a waiting list of 5,000, 3,000, whatever thousand people. So just come to our open door days, which are this day and that day, and then you come, you stand in line. It's like a small ER, but not exactly ER. You just have to come, stand in line, wait for hours, and then get your prescription, which is ridiculous. This is one. Two, specifically in those encounters, you don't really get to know your physician, and the physician doesn't really get to know you. So anything that goes towards preventative care, annual exams, the routine checkups, men and women health in general, don't get the proper attention. So we said, why can't we step in? Anyway, of course, we can't step in all over Portugal, but we can step in all over Portugal if it's online. So we came up with this online GP or online family practitioner plan that allows members of Serenity to have an unlimited access to our GPs, to our family practitioners, all online, with what seems to us as a very symbolic contribution.
Yes.
Okay, it's like 25 euros per month for a single person, 40 euros for a couple, and then if you have a larger family, the prices go a bit down. But you have your own dedicated physician who is a family practitioner that knows you, knows your history, that can prescribe all your medications, that can well, actually, these doctors are anyway part of our team, but together with the case manager, they really complete a full team of managing your clinical situation. They are for sure with their hands on your pulse in terms of preventative care. What is it that you need to do? Your annual exams, your mammography, your colonoscopy, your prostate exam, etc., etc., etc. We don't do prostate exam online though, but we can do some blood tests.
Yes, that's in the pipeline, so to speak, isn't it? I think that sort of level of diagnostic help with I don't know, machines and AI. These are the great promises of the future, but that level of examination not available just yet, not even from Serenity.
Not even from Serenity, but that look, the telemedicine world in general is stepping very, very quickly and much forward than we would have expected, I think. Yes. You have today full systems, specifically in the US, by the way. Many of members of Expats Portugal are from the US. Unwell, I don't know if you're familiar with this American Well. It's a huge company in the States doing telemedicine. Actually, I'm very proud of them. I can't take credit, but they're from Israel. Two brothers that started this company, and they are performing tremendously well in the States, where as well the financial enablers of healthcare, the insurers, understood that this can save them a lot of money. So maybe we'll get there one day.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. Who knows what the medical apps of the future will involve and what they'll be able to do. But that's quite remarkable, Michael, because I suppose what we've got here, what you're talking about, is the best of the old and the new. The new bit being the technology, telemedicine, as you've described it there, whereby you don't have to have people traveling around. It's much more efficient. It's better in terms of cost, isn't it, to have the doctor, I suspect, being in their office all day rather than having to travel around, and the patient staying where they are rather than having to travel, especially if they're not feeling very well. And mix the modern technology with the old and excellent, in my view anyway, what would you call it? Not an ideology, but the philosophy, medical philosophy of actually knowing your patient, because that's become quite an unusual thing in recent decades, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? It's absolutely correct. Knowing your patient, and there's another thing that I'm in particular keen on. Once upon a time, when I was young, once upon a time when I was a young physician, actually I wasn't a physician yet. I was a student on my fourth year. Fourth year is the first clinical year. And one of my oldest teachers, he was already old when I was young, so he's probably dead now. He told us we had a group of students, and he was leading the visit, the learning visit in the ward. And he said, guys, if you take one thing of our interaction today or forever, is that a good anamnesis, a good intake, or a good conversation, minded conversation with your patient would give you his diagnosis in about 80 to 85% of the times. And he was so correct, that if you listen well to your patient, if you really listen and ask, of course, the appropriate questions to direct him to provide you with the right information, you will have the most probable diagnosis in about 80% of the time. Yeah. What happens today, and it's in a way saddens me a bit, what happens today is that the physician doesn't have the time to work on this communication with the client. So it's like, what do you have? I have a headache. Oh, okay, CT and MRI, bye. Come back. Right?
Yes, you're not far off, are you?
No, really. And like, why? And that actually you become a technician of diagnostic procedures. You're just a referral station with a stamp. Like, what do you have? Headache, CT, MRI, stamp it, come back to me with the results. What do you have? I don't feel so well. Let's do a blood exam, this, that. It's amazing how sometimes we lose this ability to listen. This is what we were taught as physicians.
Yeah.
So instead of that, this online consultations and whatever, they have some limitations because you cannot really check the patient, and this makes quite a bit of your preliminary intake. But many times, your observation of the patient on a video, even your concern and listening to the complaints, to the nature of complaints, etc., provides you with a set of tools to lead your patient towards the right diagnosis and then towards the right treatment. And that actually saves, as you said, and you're totally correct, that saves quite tremendous time of traveling, waiting in lines, going to the doctor, then and many times you end up with the same result, but you have wasted already an hour or an hour and a half of your time traveling back and forth, waiting for the physician to see you, etc. You have the same result at the end. You have the referral to other exams, you have your prescription done, you have your referral to your, again, as I said prior, annual mammography or whatever you might need.
Yes.
So we can save quite a lot of time, quite a lot of money, by the way, by doing all of that online. Speaking of money, imagine that even a person with an insurance will go and have to co-pay a visit. A co-payment of a visit, it's around 15 to 20 euros. Okay, if you go and doing all of that online with us will cost you 25 euros, unlimited access during a month. So,
unlimited access, not per session.
No. It's a monthly fee. It's a
All
membership. Right. It's exactly like our basic membership. The idea is to have your membership and you have an unlimited access to your physician.
It's amazing, Michael. Why isn't anyone else doing this? Why has this not happened before? Is it because the medical industry, like some other big industries, are quite set in their ways? Is that why this innovation hasn't happened so far?
I think so. Look, it's I'm telling you, in the States, it's very, very widespread, much beyond primary medicine. And I think that we can say a lot of bad things about the American system and American insurers, but sometimes they do good things, specifically if they are, money and profit driven. So if it saves money, if it saves claims to the insurer would support it. And this is what they have done. The insurers in the States pay for online consultations. So many of the consultations go online, for sure, primary care. Look what's going on in mental health care. Yes. Psychology, psychiatry, it's all going online. It's amazing. Now, why didn't anybody do it here? They did. Like all the insurers in Portugal, by the way, and this is a good thing. They have a medical consultation online within an hour. I think many of them are standing to this SLA of, in a way, you want to talk to a doctor, you go on a platform or you call our call center and we will get you to talk to a doctor within an hour. This is great, by the way, and people are using that. The only thing is that this on-the-hour physician is good for an ad hoc need. Yes. I have a kid with fever, etc., or I have a simple question to ask. He will come online and provide you with the most correct advice at this particular moment. The thing is that this is not enough when you want your GP to be there, the one that knows you, the one that you don't need to tell the same story over and over again each and every time. You press a button and you meet a different face. That's the idea.
Yeah, and hopefully, what the shortcomings, and I suppose we'll get used to this. I mean, Moaz is saying here because of my back, I have done telemedicine and it was helpful. And James, one of the blessings of the pandemic is the acceleration of telemedicine tech. So we've got used to it culturally, and for the reasons you've just mentioned as well, there, Michael. And perhaps what we perceive as the shortcomings of the distance, over which people have to work, and the distance technologically, familiarity will make up for that. And you use the phrase family practitioner. It's a long time, isn't it, since perhaps a doctor has known 2, let alone 3 generations. And that was the norm, wasn't it, back in the day? A doctor, a true family doctor in a local setting, perhaps in a village or a small town, actually knew you, and then may have known your father, might have even known your grandfather, or vice, your mum and your grandma. And that informs the medical history as well, of course, doesn't it? Which could be a huge piece that's missing. It's the hereditary issues.
Absolutely so. I mean, it's again, the importance, being healthy is not necessarily not having a disease.
Yes.
And being healthy is exactly what you are describing, is somebody that would lead you towards wellness, towards being healthy by knowing you, knowing your family. Sometimes the symptoms that we have are only a exact symptom of a stress or some kind of a condition that somebody that understands you, knows you from the past can easily detect and say, hey, you're not behaving like I know you. What happened? And really, your headache and your insomnia. Your headache and insomnia do not necessarily point towards doing an MRI. Let's just talk what's going on with you. I know you for years. What happened? And then you suddenly discover that the person is just in stress because of a family issue or something at work. and you solve it by a simple conversation instead of sending him to a line of exams. And this is what we're in a way missing in today's modern medicine. But why not have a little bit of it, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, I just, I know we can have a rose tinted and very nostalgic view of the past, can't we? But I'm imagining a scene where the doctor says, yes, I remember your father's midlife crisis. My advice to you is to get a motorbike. It seemed to sort him out when that time came. Whereas, in the modern setting, it's like, oh, here, have some medications. You seem to be depressed.
Here's an antidepressant, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. So that hopefully we will see, and we perhaps didn't see this coming, and it's come through a technological route, but we may see this multi-generation approach where a family practitioner can truly be a family practitioner again, and have this sense of the whole family rather than this over-rationalized approach that we've just talked about there. So there you go. That's the new product from Serenity, the family practitioner, and around for an individual €25 a month, which you said, in America, things are a little bit different. You're not going to get a family practitioner on the other end of the phone for €25 a month, I don't think, are you?
I don't think so. But again, in the States, everything is different. Maybe 250. I think that the right coefficient is 1 to 10, right?
Yes,
so
indeed.
Maybe for 250. But hey, we're in Portugal, so we stick to Portuguese pricing.
All right, and to get in touch with the company, with Serenity, for this or anything else, if you just want the basic medical concierge to help you make sense, and for them to be the buffer for you between the private and public medical systems here in Portugal. There are the details there. Geral at serenity-portugal.com is where you can send an email, or just go to I'll put that link into the chat so that you can click through and see for yourself. Michael, always good to talk to you. Anything else I meant to remove the shared screen, not you there, forgive me. Anything else you wanted to share with us before you leave this morning?
No, actually, I'm just wishing everybody a nice beginning of a spring. I think that the weather is getting better, right?
We are feeling it.
And I hope to see you guys on the next meetup. Actually, it's tomorrow, so I hope either tomorrow or next week.
You're always welcome. Good to see you, and we'll make people promise not to completely overload you with their various medical complaints.
No problem at all.
Hang out together in the sunshine here on the Silver Coast. So all the best, and best regards to everybody at the office there, Michael. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so very much, Carl. Thank you. Have a very pleasant day. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
There he goes. Michael Averbukh, live from Serenity, folks. There's the information that you need. I'll also put that on the screen for you. That sounds like an amazing service, doesn't it? Your own family practitioner. Serenity there. Geral at serenity-portugal.com. And I think I've already put that in the comments, but let me do that again, and let's go to a few of your comments about what's being said about health law. Of course, coming up in the next half hour with Daniel Reis from Reis and Pellicano, the lawyer in Lisbon. It's the legal half hour if you've got any questions about the law in Portugal. We're going to have a look at this AL law that seems to be causing a bit of confusion, and people not being allowed to use their AL licenses in larger occupancy buildings. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of that in the next half hour. I wish medical insurances would see that alternative medicine like the Liebscher and Bracht pain therapy can save them even more money by not paying for surgeries that can be solved otherwise. Yeah, come on, get over here soon, please, Matty, and start spreading the word about that non-invasive, non-surgical pain relief technique. What's this? You can get a little Mozzies. I think we were talking here, weren't we? Or certainly the prof needs some help here. I need Mozzie Melga. Melgas, that's Portuguese for mosquitoes, presumably. My blood, or unless that's fleas. You've got fleas there, prof. My blood must have sweetened with age because they are eating me alive. Any recommendation on prevention treatment of bites? My mum used to pour medical alcohol on the bites. Yeah. Well, that's one way. That's one way of doing it, isn't it? Too good to waste your Portuguese wine, though, I think. It's a strange look anyway to be walking about covered in Portuguese red. I think we maybe be able to find you something better than that. Let's see. I've had the zapper. Oh, you can get a little electric shock button that stops the bites from itching. Get to Boots. I think Boots. By that he means the is that a global brand now? But it was the chemist, isn't it? Take this note to the chemist. Give it to the man behind the counter. Don't read it. Yes, I've had the zapper before, but limited relief. And you want to stop getting bitten in the first place, don't you? It's midnight here in Alaska. Oh, I will pass on your regards to Daniel Marty. Aloe vera. Pete's quite the expert when it comes to mosquito bites. Are you offering to apply the aloe vera as well, Pete, or is that extra? Be careful where you point that finger after talking about a prostate exam. Yeah, I mean, there's a little way to go with telemedicine, isn't there? that being one of the departments that I suppose where the R&D is probably quite adventurous right now. One of the blessings of the pandemic, the acceleration of telemedicine tech. And you've been working online for some time now, haven't you? Yeah, verdad, says James. I've been doing online sessions for years. In the US, if you have the money, you get the Cadillac plans. Indeed. I think I know what you mean there, Nazik. And good morning to you. Great to have you here, mate. And James, that may be true, says Joao F. But old school methods like observing patients in person and touching them to actually physically feel any suspicious signs are still very important. They are, aren't they? I mean, I think that's the gold standard, isn't it? It's having a family doctor in your local village or town or part of town. Just so that they can see you, not just when you're ill, but that we're all part of each other's lives. Takes a village to raise a child, doesn't it? Takes a village to raise everybody, in my view. And if the local doctor knows you and knew your dad and knew your granddad, that's gonna be informing the whole picture. Unless the doctor's not a very pleasant person, because that can happen as well, can't it? But then presumably you haven't got a monopoly in the practice there. Although some people have been talking about that, haven't they, in our community here, not being too keen on the doctor they've been allotted. But presumably in a multidisciplinary, multi-person practice, you get a chance for a second opinion and maybe to get on the books of a different person if you don't like the first one that you've been assigned to. Anyway, nice discussion this morning about old school medicine. I just love the sound of this holistic doctor. He is the type of doctors we need. So there you go, Kate. Have you not met Michael before? He may well be joining us tomorrow. I think he didn't need much encouragement, did he, to get himself along to another meetup? I think we might see him tomorrow. Michael, I have back issues and need help. Can I book a part-time caregiver before my D7 is approved? I'll answer that on behalf of Michael. No, he's not here. Moaz, get in touch with the office, but yes, they can certainly put you in touch with the right people for that. I think that's a part of the Serenity business plan, actually, is helping people with in-home care and long-term care. So you should be all right with Michael. Get in touch with the office. In a few minutes, we'll have Daniel Reis joining us to talk about anything you want to talk about to do with the law here in Portugal. Bom dia todos from Filomena. Filomena, you star. And if things aren't sent to me via WhatsApp, I tend to overlook them. That reminds me, Filomena, I will get the lovely video that you sent to me of the rally racing, the road racing in Miranda de Corvo recently. Thank you for that reminder, and thank you for being here this morning. Sarah's here as well. Sarah Yerman, late but present, no problem at all. Thank you for being here, Sarah. Sarah, of course, famous for her passion for bicycles and the Stubar area. You come up in a conversation at least once a week, Sarah, with your love of the bicycle. Reading high-tech images and blood tests is not everything, just a figure of speech to emphasize the importance of it there. Joao and James having a continuing in the discussion there about the respective approaches to family medicine. Mommy's Boo is here. Bon dia, Carl. Myself and my family were in Portugal all through April, and it was amazing. We tried to reach you, though we were always missing your show somehow. Portugal, her people are welcoming. Absolutely right. And I'm glad you had a good time by the sound of it, Mommy's Boo. Where did you go? Let us know. And what is this? James, from Joao to you, James. Para bom entendedor, meia palavra basta. Oh, I wonder what that means. Daniel is laughing behind the scenes there. We'll ask him in just a minute. Sadly, I don't think I can make it tomorrow. I have a new man. What? Oh, I have a new man starting work, but I'd love to have a chat with him sometime. Yeah, if you call Michael, he's very approachable. And Sarah, exatamente from Filomena to you, Sarah, I must have missed something there. Oh, to Mommy's Boo, possibly as well. And Filomena, see you very soon. Muito obrigado para fim de semana mais espantoso as well. Okay. Let's now go to Daniel's here. Let's squeeze in a couple of extra minutes with the lawyer in Lisbon, who is Daniel Reis. Daniel Dodge Reis, as we see on the screen there. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm all right. What about yourself, Carl?
Yeah, really good. Very good. It's a beautiful day here on the Silver Coast. Yeah, it's going to be a beauty. Is it the same in Lisbon this morning?
Yep. Just looking at the window, it's quite sunny. So I'm glad for it. It smells like spring is full blown.
Oh yeah, and I think the sardine fishing season started yesterday.
Yeah. I was happy about it because I'm a big fan of sardines, especially during the popular saints here in Lisbon. It's a good time to have sardines and quite a nice meal. So usually my figure when we were having just a party at home is about 15 to 20 sardines on a meal. So this is my ballpark.
Really?
Yes,
wow.
Yes.
Okay. A bit of bread and maybe a nice cold sagres with that?
Well, I'm more of a Superbock fan, but yes, a bit of bread and Superbock. Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't have guessed. But then again, I am told that Superbock is the intellectual's choice of beer. Is that right?
I don't know about it. Usually the consumption of Superbock is more towards the north of Portugal. So Porto, Coimbra, all those places, they do consume more Superbock. In Lisbon, it's more Sagres, but I'm more of a Superbock guy. It's I think that the beer is stronger and the taste is stronger as well. So that's the reason for my preference. I don't know about the intellectual side of it, but still, I like Superbock, especially the stout one. The black one is brilliant.
Ah, okay. So that sounds like quite a nice pairing with the sardines there. So we can't wait. We've talked ourselves into the enjoyment of sardines already, and we're only a few minutes into the legal half hour. It's great to have you. It was really, really interesting talking to you last time about law as it's practiced in Portugal, and that consideration about wills, of course, an important piece of work to do to transfer your will, not you, Daniel, but generally speaking to people, expats who come over, need to make sure that there is some an agreement in place to revert to the will of their country of origin, which I think is a very important point that expats need to be aware of. Today, we will take any questions people have about the law here in Portugal. Anything you want to ask, Daniel, please put a question into the chat. And I noticed that Marty sends his regards. Might be asleep now, back in Alaska, but wanted to say hi to you especially. This morning.
Hi to Alaska as well. I really hope to see you soon again here in Portugal, Martin.
Yeah, absolutely, Martin. We all do, and we're keen to know where you're going to end up settling here in Portugal. Yeah. Now, the big thing of the moment, it would appear, Daniel, is this AL thing that's put the cat among the pigeons, which I suspect is also a Portuguese phrase as well as an English one. Clarification needed regarding AL rentals. Now, this is a shocker, I suppose, for someone who may have bought an investment property in Portugal, an expat, an immigrant, a foreigner, coming over thinking, okay, well, I'm going to have a nice little passive income stream with my AL licensed abode in let's say in Lisbon, where people can go and eat sardines nearby when they're on holiday. What's going on here? What's happened with this? Why is it such a shock for people at the moment?
Well, this was a decision by the Portuguese Supreme Court because we were having different decisions all over Portugal. And the basic direction that the Supreme Court said, or the thesis that's behind this decision, is that if just one single person within the condominium, and this only affects condominiums, so only if the property is in a horizontal property, if just one of the condominiums doesn't like the AL, the alojamento local, to be installed in the building, he can oppose to it and take the situation to court and eventually have the license revoked. And before this, the mainstream, or what was perceived by the courts, was that the majority of the condominium would need to vote, and they could only vote if the AL was being a disturbance. If, for instance, the guests were doing late night parties, or if they were just destroying the building. So they would need a substantial reason to oppose to the AL licensing on that property, and then a vote for the revoke of the licensing would need to be taken between the condominium. The majority of the condominium would need to approve that. Then communications would need to be done to the municipality. Measures about the noise would need to be taken. So it was a difficult procedure to revoke an AL licensing. This was what was going on until this decision. This new decision, basically what it states is that just one single condominium owner or one single property owner from one unit can take the situation to court and can eventually remove the licensing from that AL. So this is worrisome because what is envisioned is that if the situation carries on as the court did rule, there's going to be a lot of litigation in courts for people that just want the AL licensing removed just because. It doesn't need to have a valid reason. It doesn't need to be a disturbance for the majority of the building, and just one property owner can do this. And this is indeed worrisome because the litigation will skyrocket. And in Portugal, as we did discuss last time, courts are indeed slow, but if we have a new pile of processes on the AL licensing, this is going to be indeed worrisome. Two things that the investors in Portugal should be aware of. The first one is that if you bought a villa or a detached property that is not in horizontal property, it's just your own single unit, you don't need to worry about this the decision from the Supreme Court because it will not affect single unit properties. Only affects, or this decision only affects for properties that are in that have a condominium or what is called here in Portugal the horizontal property. The other thing that the investors here in Portugal should be aware of is that the Parliament is indeed pondering on the effect that this decision will have in the future, and they may end up changing the law in favor of people that did the investment here in Portugal. This is not granted, this is not a fact, but at least some parties are indeed proposing a changing in the law. So the rules on the AL licensing are a bit more clear, and one person cannot just simply go to court and try to remove the licensing of someone that invested here in Portugal. So these are interesting times. Once I saw the news, I just put my hands on my head and I said, "Oh, this is going to be messy." And let's hope that the law will be clarified by the Parliament soon, just to avoid any future litigation. The other news that came up that is important for AL is the full Lisbon area. The Assembly of the municipality did rule that they should suspend all the AL licensings for the time being in the full Lisbon area. So this is a debate in Lisbon as well. It's not only the historic part of Lisbon, but it's growing to be the full city of Lisbon. This will create a distortion in the market because people that have the licensing will carry on having the licensing as they already did. So this will affect only newcomers. And one thing that new investors should be aware of is that if it's being promised that a property is being sold with the AL licensing, this is not true. AL licensing cannot be passed from one person to the other. If you buy a property, you will need to apply for your own AL licensing if it is possible, if it's not in the containment zones and all that. So interesting times for AL. I do think that it did revitalize the city center of Lisbon. I was just on a boat the other day and I counted the cranes up in the air, and I counted about 25 cranes just on the piece of Lisbon that I was able to see. So there's still people interested in buying property in Lisbon and investing in Lisbon and requesting the AL in the future. But indeed, interesting times for lawyers will come up for this AL situation.
Okay, thank you for that. Background on that, brilliant. Sounds like there'll be plenty of work for lawyers soon. Then, Stephen,
Indeed.
seeing the potential.
Even is correct.
And B, so does the AL law. And by the way, alojamento local is the literal translation, I believe, isn't it, of AL? It's basically the guest house license of Portugal, isn't it? The AL. So does
I
the
agree
AL
with this statement that AL for Central Portugal is far more attractive, because if you steer away from Lisbon, the containment zones will not be applicable. In Porto, at the current moment, they're not being applied, although they talked about it. And if you buy a detached villa in Central Portugal and you do AL, totally fine, not a problem, because these changes in the rules will not affect any of the investors that do so.
There you go, flying the flag for Central Portugal. Then that's a good idea, and very interesting, because I think people were quite staggered by the end of licensing. It sounded like, didn't it? It sounded very drastic at first, but
it was a bit of a doomsday news. But indeed, what the whole thing means is that the litigation will increase, and if you just have one stubborn neighbor that doesn't like you making some money out of the property that you bought, he can go to court and make your life a bit more not so happy, I would say.
And the background on that, there was a couple of things I wanted to pick up on. One is, of course, is the interesting news you shared there, that the license is for the person, not the property. I mean, it is for the property, but as you said there, somebody may be under a misapprehension if they're being sold a property with an AL license and assuming that they can continue to trade. That's not necessarily the case, is it? They've got to reapply.
It is, it is a wrong assumption. If you do buy a property that had an AL licensing, this doesn't mean that you'll get one AL licensing. So the license is not automatically transmissible. You will need to apply for one for yourself. This is a process that we do assist clients here in our office to do. And it requires, first of all, some communication to the Portuguese tax authorities to state that you will indeed have one property connected with AL, and then usually a process within the municipality where the property is located. So it's two separate procedures. It starts with the tax authorities, and it then goes for the municipality. I would say that everyone, as long as they comply with the rules that are in effect, that are outside of Lisbon, will get their properties licensed with AL, although the ones that have a condominium on the property may face problems with the neighbors and may face a situation that some of the neighbors will go to court to try to remove the AL licensing. But this is an if the law doesn't change in the nearby future, because opposite to what happens in the US, for instance, that the Supreme Court has a lot of power and they can basically create a law in the interpretation that they do from the law. Here, if the law does change, and the parliament can change the law, and if they go on another direction, even if they do contradict the decision from the Supreme Court, this is valid in the Portuguese system. So my perception is that the parliament will eventually clarify the law and will avoid this happening. I do think that this is the way forward. Let's hope that it's just not wishful thinking, but I think that's really the way forward. The parliament should clarify this.
And what about timescales then, Daniel? I mean, two timescales here. How long does it take to get an AL license, roughly speaking?
Well, I would say around a month and a half, give or take, because you do have a legal deadline of 30 days within the municipality that they can just say if something is wrong on their side or on the client's side to be corrected. And usually opening the activity within the tax authorities is something that takes a week. So 5 to 6 weeks, I would say it's a good ballpark to have the AL up and running. And they will grant you the number of the AL licensing that then can be used in the web portals like Airbnb and portals of a sort, because it's mandatory for those web portals at the current moment to request the AL licensing to let you publicize your property in those big portals. Eventually, this varies from municipality, but you will have an inspection on the property to see if it's compliant with the rules. But you don't need to wait for the inspection to start operating your business, to start publicizing your property, because it does vary greatly. We had Sintra, for instance, has an inspection in 1 or 2 months after you do request the licensing, and in Lisbon it can take almost a year to have someone to look into your property. So this varies greatly from area of the country that you are, and the good thing is that you don't need to wait for the inspectors to come and look into the property. They will basically look if what is the size of the property, if it's 2, 3, 4 rooms, and if the fire extinguishers are in place, the fire exits are well marked, and the safety, usually health and safety rules that will need to be applicable in the property, and a few notices that will need to be publicized over there. If this is all compliant, then the process is done. If they do detect some discrepancy, they will notify the property owner to correct it, and will probably do an inspection afterwards just to see if everything is correct and up to spec.
Very interesting. This is really good, and obviously, as you said, there regional variations will apply. These are busy offices, but that's a really good ballpark figure. Thank you for that. Is it true, says Matty, that it's difficult to return the AL license if your B&B is not picking up and costs you more money than it brings in? So, is it easy to stand it down as well as to start it off, as it were?
I would say it's fairly easy. The first thing that you will need to do is communicate to the tax authorities that you don't wish to have the activity of Airbnb carried on. And this is indeed the first step. And the other one would be to communicate to the municipality that you wish to close down the Airbnb. I do think that generally, even if the business is not picking up and you wish to or try a different direction in long-term rental, I do think that the licensing should be kept, although it's not generating any revenue. So you can just keep it dormant, I would say, and not use it and not put the property in Airbnb if you wish. But I don't see any point in just revoking the licensing or requesting for the licensing to be removed, because you might change your mind in 1 or 2 years, and then you would need to restart the process again.
Are there any costs, though, Daniel? If somebody doesn't want to trade, do they have to keep updating their license and pay a fee every year?
Well, this does depend a bit from municipality to municipality. It varies greatly. It's usually, we've seen prices from 50 euros to 100 euros to request the licensing, depending on the municipality. But monthly fees, there's not a lot, or yearly fees, there's not a lot of municipalities that we've seen doing this. But if you do keep your activity open within the tax authorities, you do have to deliver tax returns, you do have to deliver the VAT declaration if you are indeed enrolled in VAT. So you may have tax implications on having the AL licensing operating. But as long as you do know how to operate in the tax situation, I would say that you would be all right to just keep on the licensing open because you will not have a lot of costs entailed.
Very good. Okay, another question in from Pete. Is this the same? Is AL the same as a rustic tourist license?
They are similar, but they're not actually the same thing. But the process of requesting the licensing for a rustic property, so usually it's on a low density place that this happens, they are fairly the same procedure. So they are, I would say, similar, although a bit different in the process to obtain it, but quite similar in the bureaucratic part.
Okay, there you go, Pete. Your question answered there. Oh, never heard of it. There you have now, Matty, and we've got to the bottom of the distinction there. So Daniel Reis is with us from law firm Reis and Pellicano. Find them in our business directory, this wonderful Lisbon law firm, our favourites, answering questions this morning on Portuguese law. And there are some good ones coming in. I'm not sure if you can help with this one. Let's have a look. Doreen, good morning to you. Doreen Reis, namesake. Possibly related in some way. Bon dia. I, a US citizen, Portugal resident, was offered a job by a US company that has a presence in Portugal, but I'll be working as a contractor from the US headquarters. My first time as a contractor and have questions about taxes, social security, regulations, and compliancy. Who should I ask? Obrigado. Does Doreen need to make a trip to the Finanças office, or should she do it via your office?
Well, if possible, do send us an email with your current state of events and do explain the situation from top to bottom to see if we can indeed assist. Usually for international clients, if they are residing in Portugal, we can assist with the tax part. But for clients that are not living in Portugal and may have tax implications abroad, we do recommend an accountant, and usually they are the professionals a bit more directed to international situations when someone has a transnational contract. So it will depend if the contract is with the Portuguese headquarters or with the US. It seems like it's the US, but do drop us an email and we will try to assist. Eventually, you will indeed need the NIF and the social security number here in Portugal if it's a work contract. If you are working abroad, this may change. So the answer varies greatly according to the contract, according to the typology of the services that you are providing.
There you go. There's the email to do that for Daniel. Doreen to Daniel Reis there. You can get to the bottom of that by sending an email into the firm, Pellicano.com. Great question in from Drew over there in Australia. In Australia, we have a bloodline trust which secures assets from being accessed from extended family. Does this exist for the Portuguese? Now, this is the interesting thing, isn't it? This is what we were talking about before. The bloodline is important here in Portugal, isn't it? More so in Australia, by the sound of it.
It is. We don't have the same figure of trusts here in Portugal as you do have in the UK or Australian or even the US law. It's something that it didn't pick up in our law. Basically, the bloodline, it is indeed important for the Portuguese system when someone dies. And the reason why I did provide the advice on our last time here online was that if you are a foreigner that don't wish to have your assets divided in the Portuguese way, my advice would be to have an international will, just to avoid having the Portuguese law applicable, to avoid any doubts regarding that, because then you can direct to your nationality law, for instance. There's interesting things that you can do nonetheless. For instance, if you have a family trust incorporated in Australia or even the US, UK, you can buy property here in Portugal and carry on the same system that you are familiar with. So even though we don't exactly have the figure of trusts here in Portugal, if you do have already a trust that is outside of Portugal, incorporated outside of Portugal, that trust can obtain a Portuguese tax number here and can purchase property on behalf of the trust and thus have the same exact system as you were having or practicing abroad. So this would probably be my advice on a situation like this. Do not try to incorporate a trust here because the scope is not the same as you see in the Australian law. Use the one that you already have, obtain a tax number for it here in Portugal, and buy property with that trust here in the country and protect it in the same way as you have done beforehand.
Very good. Thank you, Daniel. And it's muito obrigado from Doreen. So I think you can expect an email from Doreen and Moaz. Just to be clear, the AL is used for Airbnb, right? Yeah, not just Airbnb, though. It could be spot a home. You could just be trading and putting a little advert in your local camera or tourist office. But basically, the alojamento local is the license to welcome guests into your home, basically, isn't it? Okay, Alex, We have now crossed the crypto threshold. It's taken a while this morning. Have you discussed crypto taxes? Asked Alex Scott. Morning, Alex. I don't need to pay taxes on crypto if it's not my primary source of income. And that's another wonderful thing, another tick box for why Portugal is so great for the crypto crowd.
Yeah.
No capital gains tax currently. But how does the government decide what is my primary source of income? How does that work out, Daniel?
It's not properly the primary source of income. Is basically if you do it as a professional activity. In my reading of the law and what was publicized by the Portuguese tax authorities, unless you are a trader that you're doing this for other people, so you are taking crypto assets for other people and trading them and having a profit for those citizens as well as for yourself, this would be a professional activity. If you're just a day trader, even if you do trade every day, but your only income comes from crypto, my reading of the law is that it's not taxed because, as you said, capital gains from crypto trading is not yet taxed in Portugal. This may eventually change in the future, but for the time being is not indeed taxed.
Okay, there you go, Alex. Good news for you, I would say. That's all awesome information from Drew as well about the trusts earlier on. It's a pleasure. That's why it's so great working with Daniel. Fantastic answers this morning to your many questions. And another one here from the prof. Isn't that a lovely picture, Daniel?
Yes,
can you
it
check
is.
claiming abandoned land? I understand there is a process for claiming land that hasn't had tax paid on it for several years. So people dream of this sort of thing, don't they? Of tending a piece of land for 7 years or some threshold like that, and then eventually inheriting it in some way. Is this possible in Portugal?
It is. It's called uso capião in Portuguese. It's a name that comes from this civil institute comes from the Roman time, so it's really old. But you will need to have, depending on the situation, the property held by yourself without any dispute whatsoever from the owner between 20 to 25 years. So it's a long time. And you will need to prove this to have the land transaction to yourself. So if you do find a property that is abandoned and then you occupy the property, you refurbish the house, you tidy up the situation. Even if it's an apartment, it doesn't need to be in the middle of the country and the middle of the interior of Portugal. If it's downtown central Lisbon and you occupy an apartment and no one disputes that, no one opposes to it, the property owner doesn't care and he doesn't ask you to leave, he's simply not around, you can claim that property for yourself as long as you do prove that you have been using the property as your own and eventually paying taxes on that property and whatnot. This is indeed a figure that is in the Portuguese law, but it takes quite a long time to do so. This actually occurred in my family because my grandfather, when he went to Canada, he had his plot of land and adjacent land as well. And someone messed up the registry when he bought the property. So when they updated the registries, the plot was way less than it was supposed to be. And the solicitor at the time in the 90s, they said, well, the easy way to resolve this, to sort this out, is to do an uso capião on the property, to claim it as your own, although you paid for it and the registry should be yours anyway. But he had to do uso capião on his own property just to correct a problem with the registry that happened in the 50s or 60s. And he has done so, and the property was properly registered after that. So this indeed happened in my family, and it's something possible. Usually it does require you to publicize on a local and eventually national newspaper that you are doing the uso capião figure, and no one can oppose to it, and you will eventually need to prove and have evidences that you have been that you have been using the property without any disputes.
Amazing. What does that mean literally, uso capião? What does that phrase translate?
It's this basically translates for the person that is using the property will become the property owner, because the possession has a meaning in terms of the registry. If you possess the property for 20 years, you will be able to register the property in yourself. The same happens for cars, for instance. It doesn't need to be a property for cars. The period is even less than that. I'm not familiar with adverse possession, so it's probably the same situation as uso capião. And if you do possess the property for those 25 years, then the property, you can register the property as your own and make it your own in terms of the registry in the Portuguese tax registry. That's it. Uso capião.
There's the phrase right there. I think they call it usufruct in German, as in, the principle is...
That's different. You do have usufruto in Portuguese as well. And,
okay.
The same figure does exist here. But this is, for instance, if you want to donate, usufruto is usually used in these situations. You have one kid that you want to donate the property, and you do donate the property to him, but you do reserve the usufruto of the property for yourself. So the property is in your kid's name already, but you do reserve the right of usage of the property until you die. And it's an easier way to pass on assets that doesn't require then the people that stay here to apply to all the bureaucracy regarding the succession. So it's usually something that is done for people that want to pass on the property for their kids, but want to still use it as their own to inhabit the property or to rent out the property. So it's something used for that type of situation, and it is indeed different from uso capião.
Very good. Learned so much this morning, as we normally do when we talk to you, Daniel. Pete's saying here, it's 13 years in London. My ex was a property litigator, helped squatters gain 2 properties in Knightsbridge under that law.
Whoa.
Wow. They did well there, did they? Uso capião, adverse possession from the Latin uso capião, to acquire by the use. There you go. Fantastic. Yeah. No, Francis, this doesn't apply in Portugal. If you leave something at my house longer than a month, it's mine. No, that doesn't work. That's not recognized by the law here, my friend. That's brilliant, Daniel. Thank you so much. We're coming up to 10 o'clock, so have a great day. Looking forward to those and a crispy glass of Super Bock at some point. Would love to do that with you today. And you can get in touch with Daniel Reis at Reis and Pellicano in our business directory, which I'll put into the chat. Have a great day, my friend, and we'll see you again soon.
Carl. It was brilliant as usual. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. Ciao. Bye-bye. There he goes, Daniel Reis from Reis and Pellicano. Let me just make sure you've got the contact details should you wish to get in touch, as I think Doreen might be. Then I'm just putting that into the chat right now. And let's finish off with a few more comments that I may have missed earlier on. And we've been sent all sorts. I've been sent tarts and all kinds, haven't I? Perhaps that's Owen's suggestion for what he'd like to cook for Portuguese friends and hosts. At the risk of crashing, I think it's partly this WhatsApp and the Meta, the whole Facebook, WhatsApp thing, and Instagram are getting a bit like they give you, in inverted commas, causes quite a demand on your system. So that's why it's a little bit difficult for me sometimes to download things while the show is live. I'm not sure if I'm going to persist with that because it seems to be really struggling this morning. He's made. No, that's not happening right now. But I'm good for it tomorrow. Actually, yes, we can do that just in the nick of time. This is a very enigmatic photograph, I have to say. And this is a beautiful looking tart, as recently baked, I would say, by Owen, and I'll read you the message that comes with it in just a moment, and we'll check in with Suze to see where Suze is as well. Okay, here's you can have a long lingering look at Owen's tart with his spectacles. Yes, I said spectacles, very close by. Almond and salted caramel. Stop it! Coming in here with your lovely confectionery like that. That looks absolutely delicious. Lovely bit of pastry there. Lovely bit of short crust pastry there. I think that's what it is. Sue's saying, good morning, Portugal. I am in Germany, west of Hamburg. Just put in Portugal as a destination on maps. It says 25 hours driving. Well, good luck with that. Have a great journey. Enjoy the journey. Is our message to you, Suze. I might linger in Normandy what with my World War II fascination and all. Yeah, but enjoy the journey. There's no rush, is there? European theatre only. I wonder what that means. But anyway, yeah, have a great trip. Bon voyage to you. I think that's everything that's coming via the WhatsApp this morning. Did I miss anything? Oh, yeah, I wanted to show you this picture, didn't I? And I did show you. It's not really my psychic equipment for having you hear me inside your mind's ear. Can anyone recognize what this is? I'll leave you guessing this morning. And tell me what you think this is at the top of my road. Took that picture for you this morning when I was out walking the dogs. What is this? What's going on in that picture? The mystery will be solved tomorrow. So last few comments then. Interesting opinions about the AL license. And hopefully none of you are afflicted with a neighbor who might look down on you renting out your your apartment. And then hopefully your visitors are respectful as well. It's all about mutual respect, isn't it? So that these things can work properly, including, making sure that people can still afford homes in the neighborhood in which they grew up. All comes back to respect, and in the end, doesn't it? And compassion for our fellow human beings. And have we sorted you out with your mosquitoes yet? Midlife Crisis World Tour, the Prof. I thought that was squirrels running on a wheel in the back of the pieces. Well, that's how mine works. Isn't that the same for everybody? You and me both, Rebel Mama. It's a kid's slide, unfinished it seems, as the pipes stops midair. Unless that's part of the fun. The mystery will be revealed tomorrow. What else have I missed as I scroll back? I think we're going to have to go. It's 3 minutes past 10, everybody. But great to talk to Daniel this morning. Great to talk to Michael this morning. My big concern is that I might have missed saying hello to anybody. So good morning to you, Cindy B, if we missed you earlier on. Good Gumpers, fondle that like button. Yes, listen to what she's telling you, everybody. And whilst we're on that matter, let's press this button.
Little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show at GMP.
Yeah, smash that like button, folks. Healthy Move Portugal. Matty, put saliva on bites. Yours or anybody's? And can you buy it? Locally, enzymes break down poison and use lavender and rosemary and lemongrass topically and environment to repel. Topically and environmentally. Oh yeah, I put that in your house. That mix of essential oils there. Thanks, Pips. Good morning to you as well. I saw your serving suggestion for Portuguese people, friends, and hosts. What was it you said? I can't see now, Pips, but I think you were up for serving a beef Wellington or something very formal and traditional there. Nope, I think we've lost it. If only I could search on names in the comments, then I would find that. But thank you very much for your everybody for your ideas this morning on what to serve people, your Portuguese hosts and friends, as inspired by Jean this morning. And happy birthday, Victoria. So we're all wishing happy birthday to Victoria. That may well be today then, Victoria, with an Ola Bon Dia Kids possibly that I missed as well. So happy birthday to you, Parabéns. Have a great trip to the States. And good morning to you, Andrew, as well. Thank you for letting us know about that. I'm just really keen to find out what Pips was going to serve up to Portuguese friends and hosts, but I may have missed that opportunity. Join me tomorrow when Ali Sheldrake's here, along with Michael Heron, talking about her new book. So we'll have some fun chatting with Ali and to Michael tomorrow on Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday. Have a great day, everybody. Superbok. Look, I also prefer Superbok, says Philomena, and Superbok for the win. I prefer Sagres. I don't know what it is, but I have heard that it is for you intellectuals, the Superbok. Perhaps that's what it is. Okay, have a great day, folks. And no, I can't find Pip's comment. Perhaps she will repost that or continue that conversational theme tomorrow. I think it's a good one. Take care, folks. Bye for now, and have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.